Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self-harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon Scott, also known as Flavor Jackson, and for you freak motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. On today's episode, we will be talking about virginity shame. And with me, I have Adrian, her roommate Warren, as well as Phortise and Tyrell. So, like I said, we will be talking about virginity shame. So it's like what fuels this need to shame other people will probably be something that we'll be talking about. Probably what our first experiences was like, non-traumatic, because this is Hovember, and with Hovember, I try to make sure that we keep a positive vibe and not necessarily deal with the traumatic experiences, because those are conversations that happen throughout the remainder of the Soliloquy podcast, and this is just a month of just all the positive things. So if we do start talking about the first experiences, let's go with the first positive experience that you engaged in when it came to your sexual encounters and all those other good things. So just wanted to put that out there, because I even know from my past, with my history of whatever traumatic experiences I've had, but that's not the conversation of Hovember. So even if we're going to talk about my first experience, I will only talk about my first wonderful experience that was great, that I consider ruining my virginity. So, virginity shame. And like I said, that's the first thing that we'll talk about. When did you lose your virginity? And again, to start the conversation off, I lost mine when I was 19 years old. I was in college. I was away on fall break, and I was just at a moment when I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm tired of the pressure that I'm putting myself to engage in sex, to explore this. And I was like, you know what? Let me download this app. Well, I already had an app on my phone, but let me actually have conversations with people, see who I feel comfortable with, even inform them that, hey, if we do have sex, this will be my first time. Hoping that the person that's on the other end was going to be patient with me. But I just automatically had that need of comfort and safety and security before I even wanted to pursue that chance with them. We talked about condoms. We talked about where we'll be having sex. My level of comfort. Are we going to continue to have conversations as the process goes? And the great benefit of my first experience is that the person that I had sex with was very communicative. They provided a space for us to get comfortable with knowing each other. We chatted for about an hour, and then we did the do. And I lost my virginity on a trampoline, which was great. Yes, I did. I sure did.
You are a fun bitch. You just be living. I'm jealous.
Just a little bit.
Wow.
And it transitioned from the trampoline to the back porch. So, So if anybody walked outside, they would have seen Vernon out here fucking. So, Look at God. I'm good.
Dr. Scott. Y'all hear that baby? Vernon, no, he been through it. He's out here living for y'all, baby.
Look, if you need the whole story to tell your friends, feel free to steal mine. Feel free. Look, I'm not going to say it's me. No, it's you, boo. I love it for you. Enjoy it. Who else would like to share their story?
So I guess I'll start. So I lost my virginity to women. See, I don't like to say lost. See, this pussy is a prize.
Yeah.
So I gave my virginity to a woman, a white woman. I know. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all didn't see that coming. That was let me explain how that happened, guys. I gave my virginity to a white woman because that was all I was around. Like I was in private school.
Now she's
It wasn't a lot of niggas, right? It was one other black girl, and she loved the Lord, so I wouldn't get in the boxes.
She said, y'all are now stealing my black card. Today, I'm going to explain everything in great detail.
I have to explain it because we all know how I feel. But yes, it was super cute, super magical. Like it was everything. Actually, it was nothing that I thought it would be, but what it was like super awesome. We ended up. She actually became my girlfriend. We dated for 2 years, so freshman year to junior year. Wow. And then I gave my virginity to a man, my actual medical physical hymen, to a man when I was 18. On prom. Yes, I was 18 years old. I was so beautiful. I had this like banging red dress on. Had, working, this was back when I was young, so the body was snatched, you hear me? And the guy that I gave it to was actually my mom's best friend's son. And unbeknownst to me, he had been checking for me since we grew up together. So he had a thing for me since, I think he said since I was like 10. And he's 2 years older than me. So he was 12 when we met. I was 10. And, as our moms got closer, when your mama got a friend, you friends with the kid because y'all don't get around each other. And I always thought he was handsome, but my self-esteem wasn't there from other traumas from my daddy raggedy ass family. So I didn't know that I was a little cutie, right? So, it was like, when he actually told me, like, I like you and I want to date you, and I talked to your mama, she said we could talk, we can date. It was just like, what? Like, this world is for me as well. And that was like really, really fulfilling. It actually helped me. That was like the beginning of my self-awareness journey as to I am not what my father's family said I was. I actually have value. I am beautiful. I am sweet. I do deserve love. So me giving him my virginity was kind of like a validation process for me as a person. Now, I know you're not supposed to find your validation outside of yourself. However, that's what that did. But like you said, when, we went to prom and, we had a good time, we danced, we took photos, etc. And then, it came to the point where he's going to take me home. And he was like, so, like, I like you, you like me, we get made out, we had done over the clothes stuff, I played with the dick,
Punching.
It wasn't like girthy, but it was long. So his wiener was intimidating because, again, as no wiener having bitch, like it was like all that in this box. But when he asked, like, do you want to take that step? I was like, if I'm gonna take that step, I would want to take it with no one with you. And so he talked to me and like we kissed, and he was really gentle, and I was like, what if I bleed? He was like, that's okay, like it's us. And one thing that he did is, remember y'all, dick was dicking, and I was real scared of that dick because not because it was a dick, but because it was some dick. I was like, you can't just come out the gate going straight to the major leagues. Like, I'm not Michael Jordan. I need to be developed. I need to be, trained or whatever. But him being a seasoned dick giver, he did the right things. He ate me out. He got me very aroused. Like, when I tell you puddles. Coochie was ready. Like, by the time he put it in, I wanted nothing more than to get it. So the fear went out the window and the hoe came inside. And so did he, but we used the condom, so no babies in this puss. But he was very gentle, very tender, very loving. And it was honestly, like, I know it sounds so cliche, but it was the most magical night of my life. And then after we, broke the barrier or whatever and had the first time, we got crazy. Like, I became that girl for him, which is different because it kind of set the bar way high for niggas. Because the next nigga I had sex with,
oh my God.
I was so disappointed. There was no jiyah. There was no rhythm. It was just a bunch of it was a mess. Like, it was very, this ain't that. Like, ugh. So he definitely set the bar very high. Vernon is laughing because it was his roommate. So that's who it was.
I just said freshman year, and then she says roommate. Now,
To get to the Easter egg.
Oh, God.
Hey, Dustin.
Oh my God, not his actual name. Jesus.
No. Or what you didn't do.
Dustin, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sorry, fam. You can pop, lock, and drop it, so
Oh, you can dance on Dustin. That's how you got me. Because I was like, ooh, if he can dance, he can fuck. No. The data does not reflect that. But bless you, Dustin. I hope you found somebody. But yes, so my first times were actually both very magical in their own rights with both sexes. So it was awesome. But I like to say, like, I noticed you said when you were telling us about yours, you felt pressure to, go ahead and do it, get it over with, blah, blah, blah. And I think I did not feel that pressure. And I really think it comes down to our genders. You were being perceived as a cisgender male at the time, and me being perceived as a cisgender female. What do they do to females? What they do to males? They expect you to be out here dropping dick off like UPS. They expect me to keep the pussy under lock and key. So I never felt pressure to give it up. I actually felt shame that I wanted to give it up because as a woman, I'm not supposed to like sex, I guess. So that was where we had the reverse struggle. You were pressured to give it up. I was pressured to keep it to myself, but I didn't want to. Does that make me a whore? Maybe, bitch. And if it does, that's why I'm so good at it now. So I find that interesting that, I like that part of your story, like how you felt what you felt and I felt what I felt. It's all because society told us that's what we should be doing. Yeah. When in all actuality, we should have just got our rocks off.
Exactly. And I will my experience of losing mine, I literally went from 0 to 10 with my body count within 6 months.
Yeah, mine was.
Look, and the thing about that is that after I got to that point, I decided, let me do some reflection because this is not you. This is not me. This is not who I thought I would be as a sexual being. So I took a break and I reflected on what is the cause of this? Why am I acting this behavior? Which is also the thing that brought me to my journey of self-care, and brought me back to loving myself once again, because I realized, oh, look, I already had sex. Granted, the first experience was great, but I also realized that I was validating my beauty by having sex with other people in order to maintain that, oh, other people really do find me attractive as I thought I was. As I knew myself as being, but being on these apps and having people talk bad about you, or even just the idea of seeing no fats, no film, no old people on a regular basis just made me feel a lot more self-conscious. So it's like, okay, what can I find? What nugget exists for me? And I need to hold on to that nugget and
cultivate the nugget.
Yeah, cultivate that nugget so that I can feel that love ongoing, or I can feel that appreciation for my looks, my body, and all of that. But when I took that break and realized all these things, I just reframed a lot of my identity and my relationship with sex. And that's also what kind of birthed my desire to even write that book, is by taking that break and recognizing, oh, this is the thing that happened to me. I even know that some of that was rooted in the childhood traumas that we're not digging into today, but it's just acknowledging that and knowing that this is the thing that's impacting me. This is the thing that's weighing on the conversations I have with other people, the way I express myself. And just No, it just weighed so much on me that I like having that moment to just release that energy, release that hold that those past traumas had on me. Just did a lot of great things for me. It opened some new doors. It opened some new experiences. It opened new ways of loving myself that I didn't even think I could have. So it's like, yeah.
I like the you that you are. Like I didn't meet you at the beginning of the process. I met you probably around college. You were just starting to walk into who you are now, and I was just always instantly drawn to you. Like your energy, so like you're just so great. So, like I love you, and like but as knowing you over the time that I have known you, I've seen you develop and grow, and really like I model my confidence off of you. Like I watch how you live and interact with the world, and I'm just like, if Vernon can do it, I can do it. If Vernon can love himself, I can love myself. And it's just like I tell you all the time.
We good. That's good energy. That's how you know. That's the spirit. That's the energy, guys.
I tell you all the time, King. Like I count it a privilege to know you, to love you, and be loved by you, to be your friend. Like that's one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. So not only did you do that journey for you, you did it for me too, and for all of the Hollywood family. You know, Vernon walked so that we could run, and we're all gonna have sex together.
Okay. So, live events, we can start.
Wow.
Oh, now she got me. Oh, Jesus. Yes. Okay.
I love you.
Want to share that while I get my tears and stuff going over here in the background. Please have a secret that y'all like to share about your first time, what have you?
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
No, you go first. No, you go first.
So I actually lost my virginity at 25. So it was January 2019, because I remember the month. It was like a little bit after New Year's. And
before the pandemic? Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just in case, obviously, for audience that don't know, I'm a same gender loving man. And the reason why I chose to wait was for several reasons. One, I never really had like a proper sex education growing up. So the only thing that was talked about in school regarding sex was like when we were in health class, and pretty much we learned the biology of sex, and basically they showed a whole bunch of slides about STDs. Like that was really like the extent to what they talked about sex. So I didn't necessarily know that sex was about pleasure growing up. I really connotated sex to be something that like adults did. And I always knew kind of like there was like a seriousness of it, because I wasn't even in the mind frame of thinking about, same-sex attraction or anything like that. I strictly thought about sex in the nature of, okay, if I had sex, obviously I was thinking in the mindset of with a woman that, what happens if she gets pregnant, and just, all these kind of, kind of like traditional things. So for me, growing up, sex was never like a connotation about pleasure. It was about basically like reproduction, and knowing that, and this was coming before I knew I had like a same, gender attraction. But yeah, so I didn't date in high school. I actually did not even engage in self-pleasure for myself until I actually got to my first year of college. So I had a lot of latent, what you would think of latent development when it comes to expression of sex and sexuality. And so, yeah, my first time was with a very good friend that I still have. I knew that I did not want to be in a relationship when I did have sex for the first time. I didn't think of myself as a relationship person. I am a poly person, but this was before I knew anything about poly or anything regarding. I just thought of, relationships as just like a one-minded thing. So because I didn't want that, I kind of just, refrained from it. And so eventually when I got to that place, I met a great friend. And so as I was talking to him about, some of my fears and my anxieties and things like that, he was like, well, if you come to that point where, you want to, obviously, have sex, he was willing to, obviously to do it. And the thing is, I think my set, not necessarily criteria, but I knew I wanted my first time to be with somebody who I considered to be a close friend because I've always valued the nature of friendship. And two, I did not want to have any regrets. I used to hear stories a lot of time about people who would sleep with people and they regret it. And so even though I wasn't in like a love or relationship mindset, I was just like, well, no, I definitely don't want that for myself. I don't want to be in a situation where it's like I sleep with I have sex with somebody that I regret. So those were like my two stipulations. Had to be, wanted to be a close friend and something that I didn't regret. And I had both of that. And so, yeah, my first time was very nice. He was very patient. And yeah, it was a good experience overall.
And I will say, like, I had the same experience, same sexual education. It's not pleasure focused. They preach abstinence over everything. And they do not even touch on same sex relations. And so even though my virginity I lost to women first, I was really just winging it. Like, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was touching shit and seeing what felt good. And so I totally feel for you on that side. Sex education, to become a more sex positive culture, we got to start at the fundamentals. Sex ed now should include, LGBTQIA plus alphabet gang, like, we out here. So we need to go ahead and revise that curriculum to include that, because it's not just straight people out here fucking. We fuck too, and we need to know the dangers. We need to know the precautions. We need to know the procedures. We need to have ideas, to make educated decisions on how we share our bodies.
And they really incorporate fetishes and certain other little stuff.
I think we should not fetishes.
Fetishes as far as like little fetishes, like that main fetish, which is the foot. I'm telling you, because the foot is the mechanism to your whole body for real, and that's a deep situation. And I found that out personally. I found that out spiritually, and that's really deep. You gotta be careful how you touch certain part of the body and stuff. So that's sex education. People don't realize that their feet, you touch a certain part of a person's feet, it'll make you get erect. It will make your chest breathe. It'll open up your chest, your neck. So you have to be careful how your energy is when you're touching certain parts of the body, especially the feet. You have to be careful who touch your feet, because your feet is your foundation to your whole body. Your feet give up, your body is gone. I touched somebody's feet, they got hard and nutted on themselves in 2 seconds, 10 seconds, like shaking.
Take my shoe off.
So sex education is important and more than just what people traditionally think. So it's really deep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I will add, in terms of like kinks and fetishes, that I will say that will have to be one of those things that's reserved for like, so even like when you're graduating, here's a packet of what you learn about kinks. The only reason why I say that is because, one, already having those conversations about consent is one of the things, like in comprehensive sex ed, that's one of the things that people will learn at a very young age. So they will understand bad touch, good touch, and understand their body, their anatomy, and all those other great things which is needed. But when you start to bring in the kinks and all of these other things, because the kink spectrum is so very wide, the fetishes spectrum is so very wide.
Screw what I said too, because that is for more of another subject in a sense, but the foot fetish is not supposed to be considered a fetish. It's really, really sex, honestly. And I wanted that to be said, that's sex. That's outside of me. That's the truth. And I don't want it to seem like that's just a fetish. That's really sex. So that just kind of goes into sex education.
Well,
outside of the fetish.
Engaging in the feet does have its sexual components, but it still doesn't disqualify the fetish and kink side of it. So
it's nothing to do with a fetish. It's more of a kink or something. That's something different. That's armpits, all that stuff is different stuff. Pits, like all this crazy stuff. Like, those are kind of crazy. Not crazy, but some of that stuff really is just what it is. But like, those are different things. The foot is really sex, but it's certain parts of the body that triggers you in a whole way that a lot of stuff don't even do.
Yeah, like The thing is, like, when it comes to feet or any other part of your body, like you can have an orgasm from nipple play.
Yeah.
So it's still considered sex on the level, but there's still the kink and fetish side of those. Yes, you're engaging with the person and you're enjoying the feels with the person in the sexual experience, but there's it doesn't disqualify or delete the kink and fetish side of it. So yeah, you can learn about feet and how feet can contribute to pleasure the same way you can learn about that and when it comes to nipples and other parts of your body. But if you're going to indulge in the kink and fetish side of things, that is something that is something that you have to do self-exploration about, because not every single kink is going to fit every single person, and not every fetish is going to fit every single person. And some people may get a traumatic response after seeing certain types of play. And to limit that, it's better to have that, like I said, give them a packet and say, explore and enjoy, rather than having that something that's ballistic.
In a situation, and if you're not talking about that in a certain situation, what's the difference?
I will say, I came to the kink and fetish side. I came to the kink and fetish side as an adult. Vernon was actually my Sherpa through that journey. And I was overwhelmed. Like, I had always been curious about, BDSM and kinks and fetishes, but I was too scared to even attempt to begin the process of learning because it's so overwhelming. Like Vernon mentioned, it's a very broad spectrum and everything is not for everybody. I thought BDSM was demonic as fuck because that's what I was told. But Vernon actually was the one, and it's Easter egg babies. TT, y'all remember the schedule? Y'all remember the episode? We had our kinks, so I took the BDSM battery. Vernon is the one that taught me that BDSM is actually the most consented form of sex, because you have to trust and you have to go over hard stops, soft stops, green light, whatever the safe word is, what we doing, what we're not doing, and to be not violated, but to be dominated or someone's sub, you have to have trust. And remember, I don't feel safe coming out of my natural masculine aggressor mode unless I feel safe. So I learned at the ripe old age of 28 that BDSM is actually not demonic. It's actually something really beautiful. Now, would 18-year-old Adrian be able to conceptualize that? Hell no. Would 14-year-old Adrian? Definitely not. Like, I would be probably telling my pastor that you're trying to do some demon shit. So I think with education, you have to know when to introduce certain topics. So that's why I said the feet and the fetish things, maybe not in the core curriculum of, K through 12, but maybe collegiate or, like Vernon said, take a packet because, think about how we learn other subjects. We don't learn algebra at 3 years old. We learn the building blocks of algebra from the time we're in, kindergarten all the way up to 9th grade where they introduced it. We have to know numbers. We have to know integers. We have to know positives and negatives. We have to know the rules of numbers. We have to know that numbers and letters, exist in math. We have to know that one side, what you do to one side, you do to the other side. We have to learn balance. We have to learn how to check our work. These are all things that build upon themselves as you grow and as you learn. So, and I know Tyrell could probably speak to this better as an educator. You don't want to overwhelm your pupil, but you also don't want to give them so little information that they cannot or make decisions or walk in their maturity. Even you have to introduce the right amount at the right time.
And that's actually a personal goal of mine. I hope to actually one day be a part of a actual sex education curriculum, because I do believe, like, even though I don't work with kids, I do believe like kids of certain like age sets, like there is a way to talk about sex in a pleasurable and healthy way with it being like crossing over, too many lines and things like that. And the reason why I think sex education is so it's just not there is because kids are very curious and they're very curious at very young ages. And so by the time I think adults or guardians are ready to broach these subjects, it's not to say that it's too late, but it's like, your child was having like those feelings 2 years ago, like when it was happening. So, the nature, and I think that's coming back to the nature of the topic. That's where I think the nature of like this notion of virginity shaming comes from, because as you get to, that preteen or teenage, those teenage years, you're having to battle with your mind, with your hormones, that being out of whack. You're still going through, puberty and development. And so a lot of things are just, not out of sync. And so, when you start to question why certain things are certain things, you have to have resources and outlets to help, in facilitating that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And just to top everything off, like I mentioned earlier with the conversation of consent, like whenever I have done workshops in the past, or even in my book itself, I mentioned that if you were to indulge in sex and be under the influence of drugs or alcohol, how that's against consent, because legally that is definitely against consent. And whenever I educate most definitely college students about that, I will keep that response only and do not even go into the kinky side of things, because within that age frame, the age range, you have a lot more college students who are abusing drugs, who are abusing alcohol and all these other things, and you give them the permission to have sex. On top of that, you will find a lot more sexual assaults that happen, a lot more uncomfortable situations that they're in because of because the way that our culture is set up, people will binge because they got a little bit of freedom that they have now. They're going to go crazy with it. So I don't tell people whenever I educate them on consent at the first time that this is actually an option for you to do so. But whenever it comes to a later stage, or they're a lot older and they can understand the nuances of things, the differences, like the balances within it, in that, the gray area, the color of the conversation, I'll let them, oh yeah, some people do enjoy having sex with drugs. Some people enjoy having sex with alcohol. But when they do that, they engage in those situations with people that they trust. So that's the thing that maintains that level of consent. You can't say that this person that you just met out of the blue knows your body. They don't know when you're drunk. They don't know when you're past your limit. You just met them. So that's why it's important to gauge the level of the person before you just give them all the information. There's stages for people to become a lot more welcome to it, because as a young person, anything could be icky. If they haven't been exposed to it, that's some nasty shit right there. How dare you put that on? Even with like playing with feet. If you were to have
I have no problems in my life.
Not for yourself.
I'm very great. My fetish sexual attraction
In general, like that's cute. Yeah, so some people may
find that out.
Yeah. That's not me. That's not myself. I get to whether they clean dirt. I don't like
some people, like if they're introduced to knowing that that's a thing, their automatic response like, who the fuck would do something like that? And that's it.
Like, I'm not a normal person, period, in general. So, things that happen for me don't happen for everybody. And I'm finding it out after all these years. But, I guess it varies the way it varies.
Yeah. So,
but I would want to know off rip. With me, you gotta let me know right then and there if you're on it or you're not.
Yeah.
If you're not on it, you ain't on it. If you're on it, and I'm gonna know within 5 minutes. I'm gonna know in 1 minute. I'm not gonna not know within the first minute of somebody.
Yeah, and that's fair, and that's how you engage with the people that you want to engage with. And that's the thing. Like, some people don't understand that there's a difference in how other people want to engage. That's why you have to have those conversations and also be trained to have those conversations. Because some people still can't communicate. We're all on these apps, and we know the people that's on these apps cannot talk. They cannot have these conversations, and it takes building that skill, because communication is a skill that you learn over time.
Yeah.
It's not something that you just wake up to. Look, all babies come out the womb, gaga, and then you have a point in their life when they can make a sentence. They can be like, "Mommy, it hurt." They can start communicating. Like it builds over time. And that's the same thing with sex. It's a skill. So you have to unlock some certain things as you age.
Yeah.
And you can give somebody the blueprint at age 18 and they still won't know what to do with it. Because look, some people have been out here fucking since they've been 14 and still don't know how to have good sex. So it's a skill. Now, to go back on something that was talked about a little bit earlier, because Adrian, when you brought up, the pressures that people feel when it comes to losing virginity, and yeah, there is that pressure in terms of like, guys, you have to hurry up and get that done and everything. How dare you not? How you be in high school and still be a virgin? What the fuck is wrong with you? That kind of shame that guys feel, you get. Or and then on the flip side, for women, having that restriction, saying that how dare you decide to be a sexual being knowing that you're a sexual being? Who said Who said that you are given the opportunity for pleasure?
Isn't it crazy how those conversations are happening simultaneously? But when you think about it, if they're happening simultaneously, no one should be fucking.
Exactly. That's why I hate double standards. It doesn't make sense. It does. Again, if a woman has to keep her legs closed and a guy's supposed to be fucking everybody, who the fuck is a guy fucking other than other men? So why do y'all have problems with homosexuality? Come on. It doesn't make sense. And if a penis in the vagina is the only way for a woman to lose her vagina, her virginity, not lose her vagina, just take the time.
Well, we severing whole body organs over here.
But if that's the only way for a woman to lose her virginity, why are we upset when women engage with other women? It doesn't make sense, and this is why double standards are ridiculous.
See?
But anyways, back to the pressures. I think also something with Tyrell, with how late, not necessarily late, but when he chose to lose his virginity, being later on than, I can't even say normal or typical people, because people lose their virginity at different ages all the time. But there's a certain pressure on how old you can be to lose your virginity. Like, I remember the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin.
It seemed like such a big deal back then. Even just kind of for the movie, but it's really not. It never was.
But like, that was a good ass movie. It's very hilarious. But I think it's also problematic if you actually look at it today. But we're not going to talk about that. But like, when you think about that and think about all the pressure that he felt just to experience his first time, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is.
Like, before they applied that pressure, he was totally happy doing what he did. It wasn't like he was longing to do it or he wanted to do it. He was just doing what made him happy. And then all of a sudden, now he gets this new exposure to like, you never? Aren't you like 40? Bro, what the fuck? Like, and now he has to catch up because he's behind. Me personally, I actually envy you, Tyrell, that when you decided to lose your virginity, you were completely in control. Not that I wasn't in control of mine, but you decided for yourself, fuck what y'all got to say. I'm going to do this when I'm ready. And you weren't ready until you were ready. And when you did it, you were confident, you enjoyed yourself, and you have a better experience. I imagine that you weren't just bumbling in the dark. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you were in control of what was going on. Not to say that I wasn't. I'm not saying that. But I like the control and the autonomy that you took on when you were going to do what you wanted to do. I think that is so amazing. I commend you on that. If anyone ever tries to shame me for that, tell them to suck my big sloppy ass dick.
And it's sloppy.
I wish I would have waited to 2025. Probably 2025. That was the age I would have probably wanted to wait a little bit more. You know, like 2025. But yeah, I seem like I've lost my virginity 10 times. It seemed like.
Well, also, like, a caveat to my story really quickly is that I was also never really in like social situations like to have sex anyway, because like I was always just really like to myself. So I didn't, want to be in a space to like meet people and things like that until I actually moved back to Georgia and home. Because I was entering into like a new space. There's a difference between when you live in a space, as a kid and as a teenager versus like being an adult. So I was trying to have a more adult relationship with being home. So yeah, I was never really, not to say that, it was just because I chose not to have sex. It was just one of those things. I was never in social situations to even have sex to, even begin with as well. So that's just me.
That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah.
That plays a big part too. Shit.
Phortise. We forgot about Phortise.
Yeah.
Phortise, Becky, talk to us.
We don't know. Wild ass tangent and everything. Phortise, how you going over there?
Fine.
So what are some of the pressures that you've seen or are aware of as it relates to, losing one's virginity?
With my personal experience is more so with the emphasis on having sex with a woman, because for me growing up, I knew I liked it. I knew I liked the guys coming up, even at a young age. Mm-hmm. The only thing was because I was around family members that were homophobic, I didn't get to explore myself until I was like age 23. And so basically I didn't explore my sexuality in the year 2020. But another thing that kind of hindered me was because I had suffered from social anxiety and also body dysmorphia, because I suffered from weight loss at my teenage years, and also depression. So oftentimes I didn't like meeting up with guys because I got along better with women in a sense. So it was always easy to develop a rapport with women more so with men, even when I was during the teenage years. So that was another reason why I didn't have that sexual experience until the age of 23. And during that time, that's when I decided to explore my body more. And also, that's when I started seeking out attention from men. So the way I did it was basically I started posting my news on, it was on X2. That's where I started off at, on X2. And I had got a lot of comments from different guys. So, I wanted to push it further. And so I decided to go on hookup sites such as Adam for Adam, then also to Grindr. So that's yeah.
The ghetto.
I want to be there so bad, but I don't got no dick.
Try it twice. We'll talk about it later.
Go ahead, Phortise. I'm sorry.
Oh, you good. But it was a very interesting experience because during my first sexual encounter, it was with a guy that was around my age. The only thing was I didn't put much emphasis on my virginity, so to speak, but I was putting a lot of emphasis on validation. So my way of seeking sex was seeking validation from men, because of course I always got attention from women, but never from men. So I was wondering aimlessly to just get sex from anybody, really and truly speaking. So I did lose my virginity to a guy that was in the month of October at that time. And it was fine. The sexual experience was okay. It was a little rough, but I consented to that. I would take accountability for that. So once again, that was my side of being intense. I wanted something intense. Now, I'm not going to lie to you now. Ain't no sex is nothing to play with, because I was like, that was me just jumping into it. So, of course, I was just looking at porn and thought it was all gravy. But no, that shit hurt.
You were saying that because everybody that talks about anal, they're just like, oh yeah, you just do it. Like, you gotta relax and, use lube. Like, baby, your anus is meant to be closed. Now, again, I'm not shaming those who enjoy anal pleasure. I'm just speaking from a physiological standpoint. Yes, Auntie don't have a degree, but she was pre-med in college. Stay with me and I'll bless you. Your anus is meant to be closed. When you're growling out a grumpy, you are pushing it open so that the shit can come out. Okay, so when you having sex in your anus, which is meant to be closed, you are living life in reverse. And everybody ain't with that. Everybody can't get jiggy with it. And there can be pain. There can be discomfort. No matter how much lube, how much relaxation, the first time you poop in reverse, it's gonna hurt a little bit. Like, it is. But as we mature and as we get into the groove of things and learn and go from a novice to a veteran, you learn the tricks of the trade and you listen to those before you that figured out the bullshit so that you can have a good time. We all need somebody to walk so that we can run, so that we can fly. So thank you, Phortise, for speaking on that, because I tried anal and I did not like it. And I tried it, guys, 3 times. And it was not, that's it. It's not for Adrian. Adrian's booty don't like anal. And that's just my booty. Some of y'all booties love it, and I love it for your booties. But all I'm saying is, that shit hurt.
Well, I'll let Granddaddy Whore step into this one. So as Granddaddy Whore, I would say, I agree. There should, whenever it comes to anal play, yes, all the lube people who do not use lube for anal sex.
You're sadists.
Continue to do what works for you.
Man, levels to that.
It's fit, it's not lube, but y'all continue to do whatever works for y'all.
Drink water, take care of yourself. That'll be the main lube right there. You don't have all that. Take care of yourself.
like when it comes to engaging in anal sex, it is important to be comfortable. It is important to ensure that the people that you're engaging with is just as patient as you are, because you don't want to experience anal tearing, because that is something that can
Lead to infection.
lead to infection.
Bad smells, horrible.
Bad smell.
You don't want that.
It's a lot that happens with that. So definitely make sure the person that you're engaging with, again, utilizing you is a lube, they're patient, that you all communicate with each other. If it does seem to be a little bit painful, let them know so that they can, be a lot slower, that they can slow.
Don't be afraid, okay?
To vaginal play. Don't just be out here putting your dick in the hole. No, that's not. Make sure you take your time. Make sure that there's patience. Make sure there's lubricant. Yes, the vagina is just lubricating, but that also does not mean that you should not have lube. So definitely include lube in your sexual experiences, people. It is very important. It is needed. So, Tyrell?
No, I was just gonna say, and just to echo a little bit what Adrian was saying, is that just speaking up for all of my bisexual people out there, is you do not let people, just like how we're talking about virginity shaming, please do not let people sexually shame you.
That's hard.
Or take that to heart. If you do not enjoy something, you do not need to engage in it.
And that's okay.
And even if you are somebody like me, like I, in my first, kind of intimate experience, I was penetrated. I have tried, the nature of penetrating. I can do it sometimes or whatever. That's a little bit too much about me. But it's one of those things that I had to learn that this is not necessarily, I can do it every once in a blue moon, but it's not my go-to for sexual satisfaction. And so having to learn about, okay, well, what are the things that I do like and I do enjoy, and relish in that. So do not feel that just because you are heterosexual, that you are same gender loving, or, whoever it is that you identify as, that you, because of the fact that this is the stigma of, the culture, that you have to enjoy this particular kind of sex or intimacy. You enjoy what you enjoy, and just please do not take to heart about being sexually shamed.
Side note, a new player has moved into the room.
She done fucked up, y'all. She in the same room as
the camera's pointing on there. Put you on, right? Yeah. Regarding Sharita's here. In the team RTTA.
they even better IRL. God damn.
This is where we are, people. All right, hello, Sharita. We're talking about virginity.
And don't mind me, I'm gonna just be coming in and out.
All right.
So I'm gonna just be around.
Okay.
All right, Warren.
Good.
It's two episode. What is something that you will tell your younger self regarding losing your virginity? I don't know who wants to start off first on that.
Hey, Adrian. It's Adrian. Girl, let that shit go. Okay, you are not a whore because it felt good. You are not any less than. You still going wherever you going when you die. I still haven't figured out where that is. But you God does not love you any less because it felt good when someone touched your nose. Okay, baby? Like, you good. Proud of you for being safe. I'm glad you made it through. And you finna kill these hoes. Okay? It's okay. It is okay. You're okay. That's what I would tell Adrian.
All right, who else want to go next?
I guess I could go next.
Okay.
So I would say that, wait,
Well,
what are we going to tell our younger self? Yeah, so it's never going to be perfect. I know, like, society puts this huge emphasis on females and losing their virginity, and it has to be this really big thing, and it has to be someone you're in a relationship with and all of that stuff. But it's okay if that's not what happens. It's okay that that's not your story. And it is not as big of a deal as people make it, right? Did you have fun? More of it is, was it consensual? Did you have fun? Were you safe? Don't feel shamed because it wasn't this picture perfect story that you saw on like Love and Basketball or during prom or, you know, as a teenager. Don't feel bad because it wasn't the situation where, you know, you were a teenager, but you were older than like some typical people lose their virginity. It was an experience and you learned from it and you learned about what you liked and definitely what you don't like. And it's okay.
It's okay. I guess we could stay in this room.
Yeah. Well, I can say something real quick. Well, I would tell my younger Warren to not feel pressure, you know, to not feel pressure because of society or feel pressure because of somebody that you in a personal space with. You know, don't feel like you got to have it a certain way or a certain sex. You know, it ain't gotta be a specific sex. You know, you want it to be your consent. You want to be you want to do it because it's true to who you are. You'll have room to do it better. You'll have room to start it over again. But you just want to stay true to yourself when you are giving yourself to somebody. And I would tell myself, don't feel pressure. Just don't feel ashamed of how you do it either, or don't feel like you gotta act a certain way. You know, so I would definitely tell myself that. And you ain't got nothing to lose. You ain't got nothing to rush for, baby. You got the rest of the world, rest forever to do it. And like I said, you could, if I found out, you could do it over and over again too. So, hey, you know what I'm saying? I would tell you.
What I would know for a fact is I don't have that man child around me, so you cannot prove I'm out here fucking. So
you live in that loophole.
I surely do.
Don't worry, I'm getting one because I'm further than a bitch.
Oh, so you still my spank from the sperm bank?
My still from gave it up literally.
Oh my. Oh, it's not.
Stop it. Leave each other alone. Right. Right.
But what I would tell younger Vernon about losing his virginity, take your time. Always remember that your choice matters, that consent is always important. Make sure that you're comfortable. Make sure that the person that you engage with truly trusts, that you trust them. Make sure that you practice everything that is related to being safe. If that means being in a safe location, ensuring that there's a condom, ensuring that there's someone who knows exactly where you are, be truthful to yourself and love on yourself, and make sure that you enjoy your experience and be kind to yourself regardless of the outcome. It's about you loving you and loving the things that you do. That's what I would tell young Vernon.
Phortise, what you gonna tell young Phortise now?
I would tell myself, my younger self, that love myself for all my imperfections and embrace all who I am at this very moment in the past. Also be free to be who I am and express it wholeheartedly. Don't rely on other people's thoughts or words or emotions. Just be who I am and just thrive for the best. That's what I would tell myself, and also love myself unconditionally instead of conditionally. And don't let anybody's impression dictate my life or my destiny.
Amen.
And Tyrell?
I would tell my 14-year-old self, I wish you will remember your wet dreams because I don't. I don't. Like, I've been asked the question, like, because of the fact, like, I didn't engage in self-pleasure till I got to college. People will ask me, so what, you don't remember having, like, wet dreams? And I honestly don't remember.
Wow. No,
I really don't. So when I answer that, I can't say yes, I can't say no, because honestly, I just really don't remember. So
it's just a blank face.
Yeah, I don't know. So I really tell people, I really just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I really just don't know. So I can't say if I did or if I did.
Like, I remember.
So yeah, I would definitely tell my 14-year-old self, like, remember your wet dreams. Like, you know, they could be good for you.
I remember being best spots in the bed a lot when I was 6 and 7 and 8. Yeah, I was waking up from a dream. You know, like, yeah, some of them was
I remember a dream of my school classmates, and I woke up from a school trip. I was scared, it was a scary school trip, and I woke up. I don't know where dream. Okay. I wasn't. First, I'm sorry, please. I know that got wild and loud, but I will say for myself, I definitely remember a lot of my wet dreams and those things. Like I know there was one when I was like much younger, where the person I was engaging with had 2 dicks, and I was like, wow, how that would be in real life experience.
So you've always been a little switch.
I've always been a hoe.
You've been equal opportunity loving like me.
Yeah.
When you get mature, you become just have hard dreams. Hard. You wake up just hard.
Oh yeah.
Don't get
that.
Good in the morning.
Eject.
Say, like, other than that, like, what dreams they like? If I would have known back then to like just write those like in the journal, I should have. I know I remember only like 4 of mine, but I know I had plenty. I like sometimes they included like friends from high school. I told one of those friends about that dream during high school because I had a crush on them, and I was like, it was a 3-way, and it was 2 dudes and a chick, and yeah, I was one of the dudes, of course, and it was good. It was good. Okay. Anyways, enough about Vernon and his wet dreams. So I'm going to skip one of these questions and go to this last topic: the importance of not equating your virginity with your self-worth. How do we all feel about that? Let's go first.
So I guess me again. I have lived all over the world, but I've noticed that in the Bible Belt, if you have your virginity, you're better than all of these sinners out here. And that's fucking bullshit. That's not true at all. Whether you have your virginity or not, it does not dictate who you are. You are no less good or bad because your hymen is intact or your dick has never been inside a woman. You ain't got no mommy muscle. All right? They literally do not equate to anything. They have nothing to do with each other. Honestly, to me, virginity is just a rite of passage, you know? It's not, you shouldn't dictate like, oh, I'm not attractive, or oh, I'm not, I'm probably gonna be bad at sex because I still have my virginity, or ooh, I'm better than you, I'm pure, I'm wanted, I'm a hot commodity because I ain't like y'all out here fucking. Like, no, virginity has nothing to do with your self-worth, nothing at all. I will say, and I know we're moving away from that, but I mean, if your virginity was taken traumatically, that is a different story. Again, it still doesn't have anything to do with your self-worth. However, I can understand how your self-worth can be skewed because it was taken instead of you giving it. But outside of trauma, your virginity has nothing to do with who you are as a person. You are no less, you're no better, you're no worse, you're no smarter, you're no dumber, you're no hungrier, you're no fool. It's just another thing about you. The importance around virginity is exactly that, whatever you want it to be, whatever level it is to you. So write that story yourself, but do not tie your self-worth to whether or not you have or do not have your virginity.
Anybody else got anything that they would like to add on to that?
I want to just piggyback off of something. So this idea of virginity is just like, it's nonsense, really. But even when you think about like having a hymen for females, a lot of people lose their hymen even before they actually have sex. I lost my hymen riding horses, right? So it's like that does not equate to anything in general. So just kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying.
Yeah, for sure.
And now to add, like another reason why the virginity conversation is idiotic is because there's no male equivalent of breaking one's hymen.
Nope.
So it's no way of like, it doesn't make sense.
Because y'all started that in puberty. So if you say never having an orgasm makes you a virgin, well, all of y'all between 12 and 14 are not virgins now.
Yeah, we came out of that. We ain't been virgins since a long time.
Like, so it's like no need to have that pressure of purity on anybody, or even the idea of modesty in that sense. Like, just because someone's out here fucking, let them fuck. If it's not for you, it's just never going to be for you. But it doesn't, like Adrian was saying, it doesn't make you better than the other person. Now, if you feel as though you being reserved and not having sex makes you feel more superior than somebody, you need to check yourself. Like, what is it about however somebody chooses to engage in their life gives value to you? Like, how is it that another person's actions add to your value? And how does that depreciate your, like, it doesn't make any kind of sense. Like, your self-worth is your self-worth. Only you can provide that value of yourself onto yourself. No one else can do that, regardless of what your body count is, or if you engage in sex at a younger age versus at an older age. None of that, in the grand scheme of things, really matter. Is about the choice that you make for yourself and the choice that you continue to make after that. And that's pretty much all I have to say on that issue.
Yeah, I agree. And I just wanted to piggyback off of that. If I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, body count, because like I want to be safe. But if the argument is you want to be safe as far as STIs, then get tested with the person that you're about to have sex with.
Exactly.
But if the argument is just, okay, well, you slept with 30 people, that means you had sex, that means you have something, then you need to sit back with your stigmas and your biases where it comes to sex and STIs. So.
Yeah, because you can get stuff for just one person. It don't matter how many people you with. It could be that one person when you're settling down that can give you something that you've never had your whole life being promiscuous. So that stuff, them stigmas that they be having, that stuff is false.
You can have multiple partners and be clean as a whistle.
And be clean as a whistle. Yeah.
Well, actually, the word clean is stigmatizing your virginity.
Okay, but
there will be no STIs present in your system.
Yeah, you don't have to have no STD.
It's all about responsibility. If you're doing what you need to do to ensure the safety of you and the people you're engaging in sex with, it doesn't matter how many people you're engaging with.
Yeah.
Me personally, I get tested before and after every partner. So I know whose ass to beat. That's just me. But yeah, it's a good practice.
And then your mouth, you don't kiss everything pure all day, but you gotta kiss your husband and your wife. That you might kiss something that was a little dirty. You gotta wash your mouth out.
And we have plenty of episodes that go into how STIs can be dormant and all these other things like that. But that is the main argument I hear the most about that, and to realize, regardless if you do have an STI or not, like you are like that doesn't depict your self-worth. No, but even outside of that, it doesn't matter how many people you've slept with. It's all about, if that's the fear that you have with it, then do what you need to do to make sure that you're safe and your partner is safe.
You got, like, when it comes to your health, your personal health, personal safety, personal worth, self-worth, and all that, it is the self. It's responsibility of the self.
Yeah.
No one else can do anything for that. Like, if you feel as though somebody out here having multiple sex partners automatically will expose you to something, then do not engage with them, or educate yourself on how there may be some ignorance present in you, so that you can recognize that, oh wait, this person could be having sex with 18 people at the same time, but they're wearing condoms with every single person that they're engaging with. So how could they actually give me anything? Just actually taking yourself outside of your own perspective to look into the literature, or look into the professionals, the experts, or even doing your own journey of this information that's available on all these websites. It's like, it's out there, essentially. But yeah, you should not be valuing your self-worth on others' expectations, or even the idea of seeking validity from, or validation from other people. So, with that being said, before I close this out, does anyone else have any last things that they would like to share with the audience before I close this out? And looks like that's a no. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming on to the podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. To the audience out there, thank you all so much for listening to the Holistically podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy, you are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Soliloquy Podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.soliloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.